Hi, my name is Paul Kautza. I'm the Director of Education for the Data Warehousing Institute, and we're here at our World Conference in Las Vegas, and I'm happy to be joined by Claudia Imhoff, who's President of Intelligent Solutions. Claudia is a known expert in the field, visionary, and author, and we are also a TDWI Fellow and a longtime TDWI faculty member, so we're very happy that you've joined us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And one of the things we wanted to talk about today is you teach some classes for us around self-service BI. And given all of the things that are happening in the industry that are with exploding data, with social analytics, with unstructured data, with all the pieces that are kind of trying to run over our traditional data warehouse BI systems, if you will, what are your views, what are your thoughts on how self-service BI might play in that environment?
Well, you know, first of all, let's talk about what self-service BI is. It is the ability of the business community to put together their own set of analytics or their own set of reports. And you have to understand that there are two big communities there. There are the people that we call information producers. They're responsible for actually creating the analytics, creating the reports from the little components that we've put out on the buffet table. And then there are the consumers, the information consumers. They're not going to be building anything, but they are going to be taking the analytic results. They're going to be looking at the reports and that sort of thing. Now, what's happening in a self-service world is that we have, and what's different from a traditional BI kind of environment where you got a data warehouse and a set of marts and all that good kind of stuff. What happens in a self-service world is we sort of put everything out there on that buffet table, but the end users themselves are able to bring their own data to that table as well. And that's where it gets into this, you know, the big marketing hype about big data and big data analytics, and we've got all this social media that we're now trying to bring in and all that kind of stuff. So what IT sort of twitches as soon as we say self-service BI.
Yes, they do.
They get a little nervous, they get a little upset, because they feel like they're losing control over this lovely governed world of data warehousing and data marts and that sort of thing. And the fact is, it's kind of a misconception from the get-go. IT has never had control over the assets that the business users have access to. And to think that IT should have control over every data asset is ludicrous. It just isn't reality. So what IT has to recognize is that self-service BI is not chaos, but it is a more open environment that says, okay, we're going to put the fence around a bigger set of data. Some of it IT can control and some of it they can't. But at least we're going to say, okay, we need the ability to monitor this environment even if we can't control it. At least let me understand, business community, what data are you using? If you're using an Excel spreadsheet that you've created, great. Just don't use it for a compliance report or a regulatory report. Let me understand, let me, IT, monitor this environment. I'm not going to stop you from using it. We can't do that. But what we can do is say, look, if you're going to send this to some regulatory agency, then you probably need to know that you should be using governed data for that. And I am going to raise a red flag for that. If you're doing a one-time report or you're doing some kind of sandbox experimental thing and you want to bring in your own data and do your own thing for a while, go for it. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. So I think the main thing that we need to get to in a self-service environment is an understanding of what must be governed for purposes that we've talked about: security, privacy, compliance, regulatory, and what can I kind of let go of and just keep an eye on and say, okay, you're not going to govern that. I'm not going to try to get in between you and your data, Mr. or Ms. Business Person, but let me at least monitor what you're using over there. If I see you using it for purposes that are probably not good, then I'm going to raise a red flag. Or if you create components in this self-service world that suddenly become wildly popular, everybody wants that report, and it's driving you crazy trying to get it out on time, then maybe that's something else we need to move back into this governed world and put it into production. So I think that's the big difference in self-service BI. Is it's not the Wild West by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a much more fluid environment. It certainly is one that allows people to dip into different data assets than those that are controlled by IT.
So you see the social analytics, social media data coming in. that would fit very well from an ungoverned standpoint into the self-service BI world. Does the IT organization, do they still have the heebie-jeebies over that information as much? Or?
If they have the responsibility for understanding and supporting the technology that does the social analytics, then they're going to say, wait a minute, if you're going to make me responsible for the technology that supports that kind of stuff, then I need to be involved in what data is being used and how it's being used. So it's not heebie-jeebies perhaps, but it is. But it certainly is. If you're going to make me responsible, you know, then I need to understand that I need to understand what data you're using and how you're using it, when you're using it, how often you're using it, so that I can properly support you and make sure that that environment is performing at optimum.
Terrific. And just in terms of adoption of self-service BI, do you see that really, I know it's been an uptick for a while, but it seemed to be taking off more? I think
it's starting to come into its own. The good news is that we're starting to see a lot of self-service technologies. The traditional BI technologies are now bringing in self-service enabled types of environments. We're certainly seeing a lot of the smaller BI companies really embracing self-service BI for their own purposes. I think and also it's one of those things where IT, when they finally get it, they say, you know what, this is good for us too. We don't have to focus on the routine creation of yet another report. Let's let the business users do that. Let me focus on the more value-added things like data quality, for example. Researching new technologies that can help this environment perform better. Let me focus on bringing in new sources of data, new types of data, maybe some of that social analytics stuff, you know, the Twitter data. Maybe I can focus on how do I bring that in. So it elevates IT and gives them far more value-added tasks instead of creating one more report.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being here today. And if you'd like to learn more about self-service BI, come see one of Claudia's classes at an upcoming TDWI event. So with that, I'm Paul Kautza for TDWI. Thank you very much.